most part, for me, still is really the base of it, the crux of it is documentation. But as we move forward, it became, you know, the story. It became, this was an American uprising of sorts, and something that's never been seen. So a lot of times, you know, my lens tends to gravitate towards that aspect of history that needs to be documented in a way that's going to be looked upon for future generations as this thing. Like, what happened then? This is what happened then. So it's kind of like my message to future generations. You know, I make images. I try to make impactful images. I try to make images that make a statement in my own way of protesting, I guess. The whole documentation process itself is about making images. I don't necessarily record, but I am recording, but I'm making images. If you have a camera phone and you're not necessarily trained as a photographer, or you're recording, I make images, as well as other photographers who are photojournalists or who are image makers. You have people who do that. That's what they do, as opposed to like, hey, I'm a photographer because I have a camera phone. No, not in my mind. So I kind of like just try to like weed through all that and get to where the main source of what I want to put into the visual context. I want that to be the most important aspect of what I'm doing on that particular day. And that really causes you to, to kind of like make images. You have to sit there, you have to watch and wait. You look at people's behavior, their facial expressions, and you wait for that particular precise moment, which I like to call the sovereign moment. That precise moment where you have to you're going to make that decision visually to make that image come into being. I'm thinking about getting to the main source of that particular image. Sometimes I gravitate to the outskirts of that event itself, or just people who not normally would be photographed, or people who were kind of like playing the wall of sorts. What's really going through my mind a lot of times is really to be safe and photograph in a safe manner, and photograph in a way that's not going to necessarily be exploitative, still allowing dignity to be shown through the lens itself, as well as not necessarily allowing like pure sensationalism. I do know that a lot of the people who are coming in to loot, I mean, this is me just really being on the ground and seeing it firsthand, we're not necessarily protesters. These were people who were opportunists. These were people who specifically came there with the intention of getting some free stuff. Those stores have insurance that could cover that. I'm not saying that was right, but they do have insurance that could cover it. I do believe that the economic opportunities for some people do not exist in their world, so they find it, easy to go ahead and like, I'm just gonna rip off, and because I'm caught up in this whole materialistic drive to go ahead and say, hey, I got this, I got that, mine is better than yours because it's that name brand. But that's American culture for you. You know what I'm saying? That's where it is right now. This is what's being advertised and pushed to the youth. And unfortunately, it manifested itself in that aspect of the protest. But it's not the protest, so it can't be really compared. And people who try to compare those two extremes as one are foolish and are people who really should not have a mic. Seeing the brother of George Floyd, I thought was very relative to what is being. He was like I said, he was very thankful and he was very gracious in his presence. And just seeing that in itself inspired me to walk across the bridge. So I'm thankful for moments like that, because it sends a message that's bigger than necessarily that photograph at that moment. I'm gonna say the one with John Baptiste on Union Square, with his hand extended in the air, and then you see all the other instruments, because that was a really fun day to bring in music, the music to heal, and music to go ahead and push you further, and just that expression, that expressionism of creativity, I think lends itself to solutions. So that picture, in my mind, stands out to me because it's a form of protest, and as well as, you know, you're having musicians and creatives involved in the process of change.